Hello, it's
Hello.
8 o'clock.
Yes, I think we can start. Mom, can you please start?
All right.
Yes, thank you.
So, all right. So please, you Muna, you help me move the slides.
Okay, okay.
All
Yes, ma'am.
right.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Thank
evening.
you for joining us. Good evening. This is Dynamics Book Review. My name is Nedi Arazu, and I'm on with my co-host for today, Mona. So
Yes.
I will take the first part, and then she will continue. Welcome,
Okay.
everybody. So, like we all know, we've been reviewing the book Winning the Heart of Your Child by Mike Berry. So, we are on for sessions 11 to 13 for today. And after that, we will round up with the Elcons and the book will be finished. So, we will discuss with this outline love no matter what. Listen to what is true about you. Leave a lasting legacy. Then we will summarize and conclude. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is love? Because he says love no matter what, with no strings attached. And just to show the impact of this, there's this striking quote we got from the book, which says, parents, your words and actions combined have the power to build your children's confidence and self worth higher and stronger than the tallest skyscraper in the world. So this is so striking in that how much of what we say to our children, how we treat them, this goes a long way in building their confidence in the future. So you will see that a child who has been abused, whether verbal abuse, physical abuse, in later life, the child might not even bat an eye when the person starts taking rubbish because he doesn't know better, doesn't have the self confidence for it. And this, what is this love that we're talking about? Is demonstrated both in action and in words. And our love to our children should be manifested in these two forms. So we can't say we love our children. Maybe you always tell them, I love you, that they don't see you. I love you, I love you. You tell them you're stupid all the time, you're foolish all the time. So our actions are not agreeing with our words. So the two are different. And then this love is unconditional. That's what it says, love no matter what. And it should be manifested in these forms and should be evident at all times. So whether they make mistakes or whether they have very big victories, they should be love and it should be unconditional. So when our child is the A student, doing well, landed a dream job, or when they're out of a job, not doing well, that love should always be there and it should be unconditional. And for children, this love is manifested in quality time and words of affirmation. So you get to spend time with your children and not just any time, quality time where you actively listen to them, where they can see that you're listening to them and hear you and you get to observe your children and understand them. And then words of affirmation. You note the good qualities that your children have and compliment them on it, build them up on it, build their self esteem. So we remember the five love languages of children. We read it in level one. But from here, the author says that
Sorry.
these two love languages, quality time and words of affirmation are important for all children. Next slide. So, blending firm discipline with love, that is, in addition to correcting and instructing our children, we should add affectionate affirmations. That is, in what we say and how we say it. So, even if our children have a misstep, they do something wrong, they cross some boundaries, we should remain calm in both our words, in our tone. Not when the child has done something bad, we begin to throw a parent's tantrum. We throw adult and we want to shame them against correcting them in discipline, in a loving discipline. I think the author in the later part of the gave a typical example. I think his son said something bad to one of his siblings. So he sat his son down and told him what he said was not good. If you were the one, would you feel good with things? And then he ended up by telling him, you're a good boy, you do things, you do these nice things, you do these nice things. And at the end of the day, the boy smiled at him. So he started, or he gave his corrections and then ended up with a loving affirmation. So we recall in the last books we read, sometimes they even say, if you know your child's primary love language, you could start with maybe a hug or a touch. Then you give the corrections, give the consequences, and then end with that primary love language, so that the child, even though he's being disciplined, also feels the love there. Then the next point is that forgiveness is a requisite of love. It should be extended to both our spouses and our children. And just like our children, we can err and make mistakes, but we ought to be man enough or woman enough to own up to these mistakes and then ask our children for forgiveness. When we do this, we win the hearts of our children. And then another good thing when we do this, asking them for forgiveness, is that we model the way to be in healthy relationships, so that they know that people can make mistakes and then they ask for forgiveness and be ready to forgive others and without holding grudges. So in this way, it also gives them the leverage to build healthy relationships in the future as they grow. So we should be ready to ask for forgiveness when it's needed. Next slide, please. So I will end my own part by talking about the reflections that might vary. How have we traditionally defined love? Is it a love that is manifested when the child is good? Is it a love that is not so manifested when the child is being difficult? What conditions do we find ourselves? How has your perspective on love dictated how you relate to your children? So how I consider what love is, has it affected how I relate to these children? What conditions do you find yourself placing on your love for your kids? What will it take to remove these conditions and love no matter what? What spaces are we willing to live with? How open are we to seeking our kids' forgiveness if appropriate? Plan how we will do this for a past or present wrong you've committed against children. Hello?
And you still have to, that you are supposed to take this.
Okay, so let me go on. This last reflection, let me just share a bit of what I did when I found out that when correcting my child, I was violating his love language or her love language. So I used to be like, you're always rubbing somebody's body, always touching somebody, till I realized that her words of affirmation, her primary love language was touch. So she liked to hug people. She can hug for Africa. So, and in retrospect, I didn't understand why she was always a gum body. So I had to apologize to her for that. And then when I give a consequence, I will have to follow up with a hug before or after. If not, she will tell me that I'm not demonstrating enough love for her. So that is how I actually asked for my own forgiveness, wearing my own humility abada and moving forward. So thank you for your attention. Mona will take up with the remaining slides and the discussions.
Okay.
Mona, on the floor.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. So I'm taking the eighth key. You know, it's the one she took is the 7th key, and I'm taking the 8th key. The 8th key is saying listen to what is true about you. So when someone is saying listen to what is true about you, that means there's also the opposite part. So you have a choice to listen to which one you would want to listen to. And the author Mike Berry, I like the way he puts it. He says, what are the things you think would affect your parenting and all of that. But he pointed this, after listing a lot of things, he pointed these 2 ones. He was like, the fear of failures. They are deadly weapons against good, effective parenting. The fear of failure, a lot of us find ourselves in that. Like Coach will say, she always gives this example. Anytime I look at this, she gives the example of how her mother and then how the brother was reading and all of that, you know, that her story of the fish and all of that. And she be like, sometimes when we'll find our children doing something, be fear, me, I was not good enough, maybe the way I'm training this child, what if he fails, what if I'm not doing the right thing, what if this happen? And then, you know, so a lot of times we react based on the lies that somehow gets to our head, and sometimes it might be out of our own trauma. And then the second one is the fear of not being enough. A lot of us find ourselves, sometimes you are really doing something nice, or maybe you just mess up a little, and then you be like, maybe this person would have, maybe they would have gotten a better parent. Or sometimes you see other children, they are looking good. A lot of times that inadequacy pops up, and then usually those voices are louder than the true things that we're supposed to believe about ourselves. Sorry, can you hear me? Those voices are louder. So, but we have to make a conscious decision to actually listen to what is true about ourselves. We have to really we have to look at it and then find a way of bringing out and defeating the devil, because these two, when you combine these two, they are specially carved out from the enemy's arsenal to limit us, to shame us, and by extension cripple our children out of being the best they could be. And before you know it, our children also begin to they begin to exhibit those kind of fear. By extension, they say the parenting is first of all about you, and then you look at your child and the kind of a reflection of who you are. Coach, like in Coach Wendy's voice, your child is like an opportunity for you to see who you really are. So we have to be the person to combat this thing and then save our children. Like, it's a war for us, that we have to defeat those ones, as the voices are really loud. But there are a lot of good things about us. The fact that we are here and trying to learn, it's something good about us. So one of the ways that we combat this is, according to the author, is like we change our mindset, remembering our whys. When you know your why, when you always remember your why, okay, this is why I'm doing this, and I'm actually doing it, so you will be able to fight it. You won't lose your way. You just, like, those visions, those things you have for your children, this is why I am doing it, and I know that I will not fail. So I'll be focused, and knowing that our mistakes and our past doesn't define us. We know our why. I've made mistake, yes, but I'm forging ahead because I know my why. You know, we use positive affirmations. Sometimes you just look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself some things. When the voices are beginning to be loud, you voice it out. You don't think it. You defeat thoughts with words. You say it loud, you affirm yourself, you keep repeating it, and you leave it out until it seeps into our consciousness, and then we begin to see ourselves. Once in a while, even after the long affirmations, it will still come up. But then you have to show we have to really, really battle it, and because it's the enemy battling us and trying to snatch the children out of us. So we'll put those fears and all of that. Then we vent and discuss our fears with healthy support systems, not our children. Sometimes when you find yourself in this, you are tempted to do the body thing with your children and and then put the burden on them. But thank God for TIP, we have a support system where we can vent out and then discuss these fears, this thinking of this fear of inadequacy, this fear of failure. Thank God we have a place we could do that. Thank God. But you could still go ahead, get that support system whenever you are feeling that down. There's always somebody around that you could just find out. Then defeating this also models to our family that we walk our talk and allow them rise past their limitations to whatever they desire to be. You know, when we do these things, when we are courageous enough to fight this fear, our children are watching us. By the time they find themselves some of these kind of things, they also will be like, my mommy was able to do this, my daddy was able to do that, so me, I will not be the one that will not. In short, they will want to make you proud, and they will not allow that fear also to walk in there. But when sometimes the fear, when we carry those things in our mind and we don't combat them, it translates to the next generation, and before you know it, our children are also carrying the same fear we fought, instead of it to be finished in our own time. So in this telling yourself the truth, listening to which one is it, these are the reflections. Have you allowed fear of inadequacy or fear of failure to infiltrate your spirit and your parenting? Have you allowed it to influence you? What has kept you from moving forward when you fail? Rise up and move. Failure is not the end. Find out the lessons there. Stand up and move. Listen to the truth about yourself. There are a lot of fine things about yourself. There are a lot of good things. The fact that you are even knowing that, okay, I failed and I need to, you know, there are people that are perpetually in failure and they don't even know that they need to even, the fact that you even know, you have to tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself that true thing about yourself and move on. Then what are some steps you can take to resist this lying voice? It's a lying voice. You have to listen to the truth. You have to get back up. You have to move forward. You have to, it's a choice. You have to make that choice consciously. I find myself down, I will move forward. We're humans. Definitely we will find our time of failure and all of that, but we can always rise past those things. Then the number 9th key is leaving a lasting legacy. You know, on my slide you will see, on our slide you will see this empty tombstone. So the question is, what would you have them write on your tombstone? How will you want to be remembered? You know, will it be something you want to sit down and then, if your let's assume, if you decide that, okay, they are going to do my memorial service before I die, will it be something you really want to sit down to listen to? You know, the author talked about how he went to a grave site and then he saw that kind of writing. You know, and I remember one movie I watched, the woman knowing she was about to die, and she was like, after all, she's going to die, so why should I wait till I die before I will not be somewhere and I don't even know where, to now be hearing what they will say about me. So she organized a memorial. You're coming for a memorial when you are alive to hear. Is it a memorial we want to hear about ourselves? So it's urging us, what if you were to be the one to fill this tombstone, what will be written on it? You know, our legacy will outlive us. I think the tombstone he saw, he was talking about something like person had died like 30 years back. Our legacies include our families, our spouse, maybe our children. In this case, our children, the values we inculcated to them, the lives we changed for the better. This is sobering because, as coach says, it is where we stop that our children will continue from. That is to say, what is our parenting advantage? What are we going to be remembered for? The things they learn from us is what our children will use in raising their own children. Are we going to keep piling up battles for our children to fight, or are we going to fight some of them to make life easier for our children? What are the battles that, what kind of legacy are we leaving? You know, they say, this is an exercise. We said, as an exercise, could you describe how our tribute would possibly go? What would your spouse write about you? What would your children say about you? You know, because like they will say, well, nobody's living here alive, we're all going to die before you leave the earth. So what is it? What do you want them to write? Loving mother, loving husband, loving wife. As we think of it, we want to leave a lasting legacy that 100 years to come, 200 years to come, what will be our legacy? What will be our legacy? How do we want people to remember us? It's still not we cannot be overemphasizing the thing, because we are here to, whatever it is, whether it looks like we are failed in some things or what, yeah, there is time to rewrite. There is time to rewrite whatever it is, and then we could start by looking at our goals. We could start by reflecting, okay, how well do we do these things, and build children. By the time you do that, your child knows that my parents are leaving a good legacy. You are winning the heart of that child, because the aim is to win the heart of your child. So we're going to summarize looking at the nine keys. I'll just read them through and then we'll look at it. Say blend love and discipline. That's the ones that has been presented before us. Blend love and discipline for influence. Begin by believing you are in fact a powerful and effective voice of influence in your child's life, because truly you are. Your child will want to walk like you. Your child will want to talk like you. A lot of things, a lot of times we don't even think that our children see us as great like that, but we influence their lives positively, negatively. Which one do you want? Then understand and embrace the shift when you suddenly realize you have dropped from first place of influence in your child's life to fourth place behind their friends, culture, and other adults. What do? It's going to happen because your children are going to grow. What do? We allow them to grow and move with the shift. So we organize. I think that's one of the things we've had something like that before. We had a webinar like that where it's talking about you being the one to map the road, do the road map for the child, be the one to bring the influential people into your child's life, reinforce it. Then amplify other voices of influence. As they get older, your children are going to listen to other adults. They will gravitate towards others who care for them rather than resist. Help select the champion and champion healthily. Just help them. There's no child that sets out to want to just go and do something wrong. There's no child that sets out that wants to just go and do the negative. But we help them, because those times are coming where we will not be the most influential person in their lives. So let's set the roadmap, amplify those other voices. Then use your time wisely. You have been given a limited amount of time. You can close your eyes before you know it. 8 years has gone, 5 years have gone. Whatever time you have left, whether it is 1 year, just use it wisely. Stay involved with your kids. How involved are you in your children's life? Remember, involvement is a gateway to personal relational knowledge of your kids. Stay involved. Get committed to consistency. That one is our song in TIP. Let them know their expectation. Be consistent. Do you love your children consistently? It's not today I'm loving you unconditionally, tomorrow we're having strings attached to it, next tomorrow this is what we're doing, and the child is confused, doesn't know what he's expecting from the person, doesn't know, and the heart of the child is confused. Let's find a way of winning their heart by being consistent. You set boundaries, set it, and follow through with it. Love no matter what. How do you respond? That's the one we discussed today. How do you respond when your child fails? He gave an example when your child comes and then you'll be like, will your child be able to, when the child fails, will he even be able to come to you? When they come, okay, how do we do it? Do you put a string at, I love you when you have this, I love you when you do this, I don't love you when you don't do that? And sometimes we don't really know that we actually put those strings attached to those love. We think we are just loving and then we are pushing it. But let love our children unconditional, and let us tell them. Let's not do like before. When your child does something good, then when we're growing up, personally I want to do that, they will look at you like, if we tell you are doing great, it will get to you. How do we tell you that we love you? You will see it now. But let them know. Then listen to what is true about you. There's no way we will say this thing more than enough. We can't say this thing more than enough. We shall listen to the highest voice, to the voice of truth. It will come softly. It will be low. It will not be as high as the voice of fear of inadequacy. It will not be as loud as the voice of fear of failure. But we must always choose to amplify it and listen to that voice of truth, because truly there is something great in you. Then leave a lasting legacy. When you are dead and gone, what would your children say about you? Your story represents the dash between your birth date and your death dates. That story there, what are the type of legacy, what kind of legacy are we living? Nobody will come and be saying, the great CEO, the multi-billionaire. Nobody looks at that on the gravestones. I recently I just want to conclude with this story. I went for a burial and I was looking at the gravestones there. There are some gravestones, when you look at it, you know that there was love. As they were burying this person, they were burying him with so much love, or her. You will see the way they arrange it. There are some you will just see, they will just bury and shall do and go. What kind of one do we want? What kind of legacy are we leaving? I think it's something that's one of my biggest take that I've been reflecting since I've been doing this slide. It's something we'll look at personally and then see how we do that in our, and these legacies, it's not like you will just wake up and write legacy and then you are following. No, it's the daily things we do with our children, the time we spend with them, our spouses, people around us, what kind of influence, what kind of impact we make. And you may think you don't make those big impacts, but the truth is that the impact that's really super big. Thank you. In there, can you, I don't know if there is any comment or any question that we will take. Hello.
Okay. Yes, I'm here. Thank you,
Okay.
Mona.
Yes, we have
Thank
plenty
you,
people.
everyone.
Yes.
I don't know if we have comments, contributions, questions, so we could take them. You could just add one or two things or give an example with something that struck you in the book review if you would like to share.
Okay, it's like everybody's muted, only the two of us. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let me say something.
Okay.
Good
All right.
evening,
Thank you,
everyone.
Sharon. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is Sharon.
Yeah.
All right.
And thank you so much, Mona and Ine, for that review. It was really insightful.
Thank
And
you.
a lot of things you guys are talking about resonated with what happened to me over the weekend. And I would just like to share very quickly.
Okay.
My son, we went to church 2 Sundays past, and while we went to church, so he slapped his friend. I said his friend because before now he has been talking about that boy Lemuel. He will say one thing, he will mention his name. So when this whole thing happened, I was just expecting them to get back to me in church and then we can go home. And then I saw my son coming with another parent, and then there was another lady. And then all of that, the woman came to me and said, oh, that my son slapped his son in church. And they've been trying to talk him to apologize and say sorry while they were down there, at the children's session. So they tried, and they didn't get him to say sorry. So they brought him that, okay, you are the mom, you have to make him to say sorry. So she came, and then I was apologizing. I was like, wow, oh my God, this is really serious. I held on to the boy. I said, Lemuel, how can your friend do this to you? Because I don't know you, but I've heard about you a whole lot from him. So I held on to him, I hugged him, I pet him. He was fine. The boy was fine and all that. But the mom and the other person who came insisted that, oh, your son needs to say sorry. But when you do something wrong, you have to say sorry. You have to say sorry. I let them pressure him all they want. They pressured him. He wasn't going to say sorry. So, and I tried to tell, just to make them see that I was also going to ask him to say sorry. I said, okay, Misha, say sorry. He wasn't going to say sorry. I knew he wasn't going to say sorry then. So, but then I just wanted to make them see that I made an effort.
Yeah.
Eventually, I told them, okay, please, can we just let it go? And then he's going to say sorry. He's going to apologize when he has realized what he's done. So he said, yeah, yes, we know he will do it. Just say it now. Let him say it. I said, okay, madam, please, can we just let it go? So at that point, I had to, reading this this our book of the
Yes.
month, gave me a further confirmation, like, because at some point I was thrown apart, like, where did I go wrong with all of this? Because they wanted to make me feel like, oh, I was doing the wrong thing. Because I had to now protect my son at that point, because they were just like, he needs to say sorry. He needs
Like
to say,
the wrongest
Misha,
person.
say sorry. Mish, say sorry. So I said, okay, please, I just had to step in and say, please, can we just let this go for now? And then fast forward to last week, we didn't go to that church. We went to another the headquarter church, and then unfortunately we didn't go to that church last week Sunday, because I said 2 weeks ago was when this happened.
Yes.
And then we when we got home that day, we talked over it, and then I painted scenarios, I told stories, I mentioned, okay, if this happened to you, would you like it? And I said, okay, what are the consequences if you hit?
Oh, hello? Okay. I can't hear you. We can't hear you.
I think we've lost that.
I couldn't hear her. Okay. Sharon, we can't hear you. Oh.
Sharon, please come back.
That was an interesting one. I could just see her. I could just imagine it. Oh, and she's not muted though, but I just couldn't probably network. The network.
Yeah, I think it's network, because she's still here.
Yes.
Okay, she has left now.
She has left. Now, most likely she would come back. That was an interesting one. I could just imagine that kind of thing. What would you do,
And the parents will somehow be pressuring your emotion to react.
Yes. I was one of the things I was telling coach. I had one child that did something like that. Then I was like far back, though he wasn't like beating somebody, but I could just remember reporting to the parents, and then I was just looking at when your child is coming from church and then he's coming with somebody behind him.
Okay,
kind of
Muna,
yes, ma'am.
We have a question in the chat box.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me read it out.
Okay.
Thank you loads for the wonderful review. Please, how do I handle my 7-year-old who will always test your limits? And when your yellow meter rises just a bit, he concludes that you deserve a consequence for raising your yellow meter. Okay.
Sharp guy.
He's manipulating you. I don't know. I get to answer.
Hello?
Hello, can I hear you?
Okay. So let me just give my thoughts, then people around can also decide to share this. So I think for the 7-year-old, maybe is to look at it critically. What is he doing that is making you annoyed or is getting you upset? And then to remember.
Sorry about that. My network went off.
Yes, we're waiting for that your story.
Okay.
So sorry about that. My network just went off. So let me just try to make it very short and quick.
Yes.
So I got to church yesterday, and my son had kept the letter in my bag. And then when they went to their church, I forgot to give that back to him. So after the service, I rushed to the church to give that to him so he can hand it over himself, because I'm not supposed to be involved. It's not me. I didn't do anything. It's my son. So, like Coach always say, it's not my shame. It's his own property. It's his own wahala.
Yes.
So I saw an official, and then I handed that over. That, please, can you help me give this to my son? He needs to give this to his friend. And then they're like, what's that? What's inside and all that? I said, it's a letter, and I gave them all this. I said, they've actually been looking for me, that these parents had left the church because of that one single scenario that they're no longer coming to church. Long story short of what happened. I'm like, whoa.
That's a serious one.
I want to bring out from all of this, my story, is the fact that we need to express our love. And just like, the presenters have mentioned, in the midst of our we need to stand by them. Winning their hearts is very important at that point.
Yes.
We need to be able to, put the two.
Oh. Hello? Good.
Appropriately, without having to say, oh no, or gloss over it. No, I wasn't going to gloss over it, but at the same time, he still felt like, oh, his mom was there for him. You get? So it's very important for us to not always want to prove, because they wanted me to prove something. They wanted me to stand and prove, oh, you are the parents. Come and prove that. Come and make him. I'm not going to make my son do nothing. And even if he's going to apologize, it's not going to do it at that point. He wasn't sorry for it. He hasn't recognized, he hasn't realized that he has done something wrong. So why am I going to just force sorry out of
him? And he may never really realize that. So sorry about that, please. Things we're logging back in. So we'll just wait for a little time, maybe like a minute, so that other people will be able to log back.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, can we also finish addressing the question about the 7-year-old?
Okay.
I don't know
if let's just wait a little, please. So we'll be able to.
I know. I'm just saying because
Okay.
I know that.
Yeah. Okay.
Just so we don't forget if we still have.
Okay. You have something to say about it?
No, I just wanted to hear other people's views.
Yes. Okay. Nne was saying something about it. That's why I wanted her to pick it up. Then I will now say something after.
Okay.
After Sharon, please. It's kind of interesting though, so we're able to look at it too. Okay, there's this question on the chat. Sharon, so we'll just finish with you. There's this question on the chat box. They're like, did your son actually
Okay.
tell you why he did it? I'm sure maybe you would have, by the time you're concluding it, to just be there, but just have it in mind. Like, did your child actually tell you
Yeah.
why he slapped his friend? Was there anything done or any form of discipline for what he did, apart from standing by him? Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Of course. Of
Yes.
course. Okay. So, one of the first, I asked. Of course, I would have to ask what happened, what resulted to all of that,
Yes.
and then he told me that okay, they were in the class and he was asking a question from. He was asking the friend a question, and then he wasn't answering him. And then I think he was trying to get attention. So, but, that was a very hot one by an arrow. So, he ended slapping him to get his attention because he was asking him a question and he wasn't responding to that. So, we talked in line with that. And then we also have consequence. When you hit somebody in our house, we always have to go through consequence. You have 3 rooms you have to sweep.
Wow.
And it's not something that you have to go against. It's not something that you have to do at another time. Once we are
This is our network today.
in addition to that, is the apology letter that he had to write as well. Okay. So, yes, he had to go through the consequence.
Okay. Well,
I hope I answered the question anyway.
Okay, I was going to ask you, Sharon, how old is your son, please?
Okay, actually.
He's 8.
Okay.
He's 8. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But did you ask him why he didn't want to apologize? Did he feel intimidated by all the adults? I guess that was what was obvious. That was obvious anyway. I guess all the teachers. Sorry, can I ask? Is your church a mixed church, like all blacks or blacks and whites?
Black and white? Do we have too many whites? Well, my church is a normal.
Are you in the UK or are you in Nigeria?
I'm in Nigeria.
Oh, sorry. I'm in UK, sorry. But because someone shared something similar in another group I belong to, so I just thought it was, okay. Yeah, Nigeria. Okay, so, I understand. Yeah.
Yes, we are mostly black here, okay?
Yeah, sorry. I'm in the UK, sorry. So no. I don't know why I forgot that this is a mixed group.
I kind of get it, like the boys thing, and probably maybe it's something they do, and it's possible the other one might have even hit him before, since they are friends, and then now that you're telling him to apologize, and the thing is involving parents, you could
also can we remember when we were kids how they intimidate us to apologize? You just apologize out of fear. That's intimidation. Apologize, and it doesn't really come from your heart.
No,
I think it's better when the child reflects, and these children, they know how they communicate between themselves. They can go back and say, "Man, oh boy, I'm so sorry for hitting you."
And you know what I really saw when the parents came? It was that boy was fine. I could see that he was long done with the whole thing.
Yes. Because
he wasn't looking for any apology. He was so absent-minded from everything they were saying.
I've forgotten about it.
So yes,
if not for the parents' involvement, you would have come back to meet them.
These were 8-year-old children. Anything less than 10, even children in the house. Are you going to tell me this boy also has siblings? Are you going to say that they've never had to hit themselves in the house? Like so if this was to happen in school, so you would just take your child away from the school because something happened, So for me, it was, like we say, people are coming from a lot and different backgrounds and all that. But for me, she's my disciple because I'm looking for her like under the stone everywhere because I need to help her. I need to help them, and that's where I am because I'm really empathic about them and people who are raising children who they also need help themselves, and that's it for me, honestly. And I want to help as much as I can. At least I know I don't know much, but I think the little I have I can share. And that's it for me. Once I'm able to get in touch, I'm going to apologize. She becomes my friend. Yeah. So and thank you for the question. Really, it's the fact that there are misunderstandings, and I believe that she was just like, why did she not make? Because she reported back to the officials and said that why did I say that they should not force it? That I should be able to make my son say sorry and all that. So
sorry at that timing that he said he's not telling him.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So yes. Okay, are we okay with the answering of those
Are we okay?
The answer to those questions? I don't know. So we're going to go back to that our 7-year-old before we forget. I don't know if there's anybody that can like relate or tell us anything about it. Like you give a boundary, the child does something, and then by the time you are yelling, the child wants you to forget about his own thing that he has done and not tell you why are you doing that. You should also have consequences for what you have done. That kind of manipulation. First of all, obviously as parents, once in a while, with all it's a journey, as we all say, it's a journey. We'll all get to that point where we learn and then overcome some of these things. But sometimes the child knows that he knows the boundary is there. 7-year-old, I don't know, is it a girl? Was it a girl she said? I actually didn't read the question personally. But they will share whatever it is. If you have a boundary, the moment you shall set that boundary, I think the first thing they try to do is to test that boundary. And because the parents must have told the child, when you yell, there is going to be consequences. So they expect that perfection from the child. I think it's mostly more than just the yelling part. So like my daughter will always do that one. When you do something that you have told her not to do, now she will deliberately do something that will provoke you to do that one. And then if you are not able to control, you'll be like, okay, we'll have to go back. But I think you will still have to set that, okay, you've done something, and there is consequence for what you have done. So whether I face the consequence of my own or not, we'll have to enforce that the child will shall take responsibility of what she has done. I think that's my own take. Then we will now come together and deal with my own. But first, we will deal with that one. In as much as we are going to deal, I think that's where that hard love comes in. You have to, even as much as we have to find a way of winning the heart of the child first and looking at how we could. But consequences are there. I think one of the writer talked about something like he didn't have that part of the fact that the parent also broke one of the rules and all of that there are consequences for. But then a child will do something, it will not because I did so. It's like it's just like going to school now. 2 children did wrong, and then because you people are doing the wrong, me, I'm punishing you, I'm giving you a consequence. They are taking responsibility of your action based on how our boundaries in our house are set. And then you'll be like, why is the other one not doing that? Or even when it comes to, I think even gifting, you'll be like, it's like the child will want it that everything you do to me, you have to also do it to yourself. And then they put you at that this thing as they are setting you up. It's it's a setup. So it's like they're making you to be on your own toe, on your own toe to help and learn how to handle that emotions. But the consequences of that thing that the child had did, you will not, because you failed in your own part, now say you are dismissing it. The child will always manipulate you to dismiss it. That's what I see. I don't know if there's anybody that has another take on it. Hello? Hello? Okay, now you are back. Can you hear me? We're talking about the 7-year-old. You read those questions. I don't know if you have anything to say about it.
Okay, sorry, I missed the responses, but I'm sure maybe you guys have already responded. I just wanted to, what I was saying earlier was just to check and review what the 7-year-old, what is the thing that irritates or annoys you about the 7-year-old, and then to also have it in the back of our minds that these are children. So especially if he's a hyperactive child, or most children are active. If he's being given space to burn off his energy, to play and all that, so that at least when he's expected to toe the line, to do other things that are in place, then you can be sure that you are allowed him free expression. So that's what I wanted to say, but I didn't hear what other people have said, so I don't repeat what have been said.
There's no, it's just two different parts. So are we good?
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah, we're good.
So I want to thank you everybody for coming out. I think I'm seeing another question. Okay, all right, these children will always want to trap you. Okay, I want to thank everybody for the first part. We had like 18 people. This one, 12 people still came back to join. We really appreciate the fact that we have the audience. Thank you very much for being around. So we'll post the recording. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
So much.
Good night.
All right.
Thank you. In the heart of our children.
Yes, we will. We will. Thank you. Good night.
Hey, Kochi. Thank you,
Coach is
Mama.
here.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. Good night.